Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Vinny Makes the Hall of Fame Case for. And obviously, I'm Kirk Buckner. I run NotInHallOfFame.com, along with the sister sites, the Fictitious Athlete Hall of Fame, the Fictitious Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the United States Athletics Hall of Fame, of which Vinny is a big part of. Look for big news from that soon. And today, Vin, you're making the Hall of Fame case for, well, I don't know if the word forgotten is necessarily right, but maybe it is. We're looking at quarterback Roman Gabriel.
Indeed. See, I first came across this gentleman because of Vinny Sheehan. He's the guy that's been running the Roman Gabriel Hall of Fame page on Facebook and Twitter for a number of years. He had a bit of a push in like the late 2010s, early 2020s, but you haven't really heard much because when it comes to senior quarterbacks, it's mostly been dominated by Ken Anderson, a bit of Charlie Connerly.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they put more quarterbacks in beyond just those guys because there's many quarterbacks I think that deserve to be in that are seniors. And Roman is definitely one of them because when I look at Roman Gabriel, and I know that Turney's big on him, but also Turney's a Rams fan. But still, I think Roman Gabriel just on his own, if you look at his career, is deserving of making the Hall of Fame. You look at him as a player. He was drafted both number one overall by the AFL. I think he was drafted by the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken. And then he was drafted by, of course, the Rams with the number 2 overall pick in '62.
Which is
just the pick after Ernie Davis, actually.
Yeah.
What?
Which is who he chose.
Yeah, the pick after Ernie Davis. And the Rams also had the third pick, which was the next pick afterwards. They chose Merlin Olsen. So 2 of the first 3 picks chose Roman Gabriel and Merlin Olsen.
Although Merlin was more of an immediate impact, the Rams, they slowly integrated Gabriel into their scheme. 16-year vet, mostly with the Rams, 62 to 72, Philly from 73 to 77. When we think of Roman Gabriel, when I think of him anyway, I should say when I think of that 1971 season, MVP.
1969.
Not 71?
No, he won in 1969. And that year, the 1969, they lost in the playoffs to the Vikings. They lost 23 to 20, but then they won against the Cowboys in the playoff where they shut them out 30 to 31 to nothing.
Oh, 69. Okay. Yeah. Why did I have 71? It doesn't matter.
You're probably that's fine.
Well, I'm usually wrong. That's why you're the Hall of Fame expert and I am not. Yeah, I tried it. I try, buddy. I try. I look at his overall stats, and I think when people look at stats for a quarterback, you can't take the modern eye accurately. You can't. For no other position, more probably than quarterback. 29,449 yards doesn't seem like a lot. It is.
It's a lot for the time. He was a very accurate quarterback for his days.
Right.
And for a while, when the Rams trying to integrate him, like from 62 to 65, so for 4 years, he started a total of 23 games. He was 500, 11, 11, and 1. But then the other quarterbacks that started during that time, the other three games, 4, 27, and 2. So, like in 1965, the big 2 wins that Gabriel had was against the Packers, who won the championship that year, and the Browns. I think that was an NFL championship, that matchup. But whatever. When George Allen took over, and obviously George Allen, Hall of Fame coach, he thinks very highly of Roman Gabriel. He becomes the starter, and they're the first winning season since 1958 with him as a starter. And the following year, they win the division. He was someone that was seen as a really real MVP candidate and was named Offensive Player of the Week the last couple of weeks of the season. So Gabriel played his best games at the very end of the season when things really had to get going.
Mhm.
And to decide division title against Johnny Unitas, it was Gabriel that led the team to with 3 touchdowns, and they blew out the Colts. And this was Johnny Unitas, someone who Gabriel had a bit of a rival with Johnny Unitas, actually. Some people thought that Gabriel was probably deserving of the MVP more than Unitas during that late 60s era, actually.
Yeah, but Johnny Unitas had a haircut you could time your watch to. Simpsons, sorry. Uh,
Yes. Yeah, because like even though Unitas won MVP, you could argue Gabriel probably deserved it that year instead.
I'm going to throw you a few stats here and this one I know I've got right. Uh, one that I really like a lot, even though again it doesn't hold up to today's standards, but those standards, it's incredible. The touchdown interception rate, 201 to 144, which for that era is really, really good. I'm going to throw something else here from 65 to 75, because you and I were talking, because we just did a show about Ox Emerson, about all decades. So
Yeah,
if all decades would have gone from 5 to 5 or 5 to 4, however you might want to do that,
right.
Gabriel would be an all decade quarterback on that period. So from 65 to 75, third in touchdown yard, third in passing yards, third in touchdown passes, second in completion percentage, first in interception percentage.
Hmm.
Pretty
Yeah,
goddamn good.
yeah, he was like in terms of build, if I were to describe Roman Gabriel, I describe him like Ben Roethlisberger in a way, in terms of the way his play style was. And not only that, he was a tough man. Like he broke Unitas' record for consecutive starts for a quarterback. He beat him by one. However, because of his build and how aggressive he was, eventually that was going to catch up to him. And unfortunately, his knee and shoulder problems is the reason why he was dealt to the Eagles for Harold Jackson, who I will make a case for him. Don't worry, guys. Um, and his
Love Harold Jackson.
yeah, if you love him, I adore him. Um, yeah, and and in that year with the Eagles, his first year with the Eagles, you might look at the record and say 5-8-1. They're not a playoff team. Well, how important was he? I would probably go on record and say probably one of the greatest ever quarterback performances of a season for a team with a losing record. He led the league in completions, attempts, yards, and touchdowns. Like he didn't win NFC MVP. That was John Hadle of the Rams, his replacement. But you could really argue that Gabriel deserved MVP that year, despite the team having a losing record. If I were to compare it to anything modern day, and I'm not just saying it because of my own personal bias, Matt Ryan 2018. He was phenomenal that season, played as good, if not even better, than his MVP season or even his 2012 season. The reason why he didn't get the same attention is because, Breeze was in the same division, and you also had the defense of the Falcons that was so awful. Gabriel, likewise, despite an Eagles team that wasn't that good, he was phenomenal that season.
Oh,
Like they had the
absolutely.
most prolific. They had the most prolific. He won comeback player of the year, and yeah, not bad. But unfortunately, his play did deteriorate after that season. Um, he he did start most of the games the following year, and then after 75, he was even though he still had more touchdowns and interceptions like Ryan. Um, he knew that his play was going down, and then Ron Jaworski, of course, overtook him, and the rest was history, and that was the end of the career of Roman Gabriel.
Now, Gabriel is in one of my top five wanted quarterbacks, one of yours too.
Yeah,
You off air, you and I sort of like talked about, and I don't know if this should play or shouldn't. Well, in my opinion, I guess shouldn't. Uh, but he was the first Asian quarterback.
it should play, in my opinion. He was the first ever non-white quarterback to win MVP. I don't care what race you are. He was an inspiration in the same way that many African Americans look to, other African Americans as inspirations. You look at Roman Gabriel. He's half Filipino. His dad was Irish, his mom was Filipino. for many Asian Americans post World War II, seeing another Asian be at a very similar level, like looking at that is just different, especially as it was not too far after World War II. And you were also not too far away from the Korean War, and you were also not so far away. I think this was during the time of, yeah, it was during the Vietnam War. So many Asian Americans were persecuted and, stigmatized in many areas because of the way they looked. And we see Roman Gabriel here. He's someone who was a huge star in Los Angeles and was Asian. Like, again, that's huge. Like that's huge for them.
Then do you know, and I have no idea whether he did or didn't, did he do a lot, like did he sort of like give back to the Asian American community? Like did he, like I have no idea. I'm just, the reason I asked this is I was just talking with somebody who, because I'm here in Winnipeg, and Winnipeg, which will blow people's minds, is the second largest Filipino population outside of the Philippines. So the Jets have Filipino Heritage Night. And so I was talking to this one woman I know, and it was fascinating because the Dallas Stars came in with Jason Robertson, who was half Filipino,
Yeah,
and
Jason Robinson's a great player.
phenomenal player. So
Mhm.
he did a big thing with the Filipinos here. And I'm wondering, are you aware if Roman Gabriel sort of gave back to that community?
I'm not that
Okay.
aware of that, to be fair, because most of my emphasis on Gabriel has been his time as a player, not as much as a person, but I know he was a huge star. He was in a lot of commercials, like I remember a Burger King ad back in the day. But yeah, there was a real legit rivalry between him and Johnny Unitas for a few years because they were in the same division. Yeah, Johnny Unitas. And Vinny showed me, not me, but
Vinny
like
Sheehan.
many
Yeah.
yeah, he showed me that, Roger Staubach thought he was very deserving. He said he one of the most athletically gifted quarterbacks he ever played against. Bob Brown said he was deserving.
Mhm.
Bob Lilly said he was deserving. Um,
Big from Bob Lilly, huh?
Bob Lilly said he was one of the most
Yeah.
competitive players he ever went up against. He also, I think he also said, I think Nitrate Lane might have said something about it. I know Joe Namath had pretty high thoughts of him, but he knows that Gabriel never won a championship. But at the same time, you could maybe argue in terms of a passer, Gabriel was better than Namath. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would totally agree that Gabriel's got the better overall numbers, better passing. Namath was the star, and Namath won the title.
Yeah, not only that, not to be a New York guy, but like New York versus Los Angeles.
Hey,
I mean,
Is Roman still alive?
yes, he is actually. Roman Gabriel's still alive. He's 83 years old. He's living in North Carolina still. I don't see him making it while he's alive. And I hate saying that. I think that's gonna be the same thing for his best
Right.
buddy, John Brody. Um,
Probably true. I
and
mean, like he was not a semifinalist in the senior, so
no, it's like their focus is Ken Anderson. And geez, I just hope they just don't give up on quarterbacks after Ken Anderson. I'll be so angry if they do because there's so many that are deserving. It's Anderson, Connerly, and Isbell seem like the top three, but then I know that Gabriel and Brody are kind of pitted up against each other, but Gabriel and Brody are best buds, and they're both in their mid 80s. Like they want to see both each other. They both want to see each other in the Hall of Fame.
mhm. Well,
And I'm mentioning Brody because that's who we will get compared to because L.A., San Francisco, but they both really like each other. They're like family.
Mhm. Okay. All right, well, thanks so much for this. Look for more shows if you like this. Look for a lot more that Vinny does here, where Vinny makes the Hall of Fame case for. There's so many other shows here in the Bucknerverse. Oh my God, there's so much. So much that I can't even keep track. That's not a bad thing, I guess.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. It's only positive,
There you
hopefully.
go. So check out everything that we do at nothalloffame.com. So wherever you are, wherever you may be, make this a great day because it's never coming again. Later.